It's mid-January. How's your New Year's resolutions going? Not great, is it? Now this is the video I wish someone had made for me when I started the knowledge. But if you're not doing the taxi knowledge of London, fear not, because this is applicable for any big life endeavour you might be doing. Basically the reasons why you're putting it off and how to overcome it. Let's get started. To start with my absolute favourite excuse, I don't have enough time. Not many people in life are so important and so scheduled that they've got every single hour in their calendar down to a T. In fact, I know you definitely haven't, otherwise you wouldn't be sat here watching my video on YouTube right now. So when people say, I don't have enough time, you're pretty much saying, I don't have control of my life. If you don't have enough time to start an endeavour which you know will have net positives on your life, then that is a perfect example of you not having control in your life. Just look at what this means to you. How important is it? And get it in the calendar, get it done. It's never ever about time. You will find the time if it is important enough. Just like time, there is a similar nonsensical excuse which applies specifically to the knowledge, and that is, I couldn't do the knowledge or become a London taxi driver because I have a bad memory. Unless you have a physical brain condition, i.e. short-term memory loss, I believe there is no such thing as having a bad memory, just how you choose to store information. But learning the knowledge of London goes one beyond that. Yes, initially, it kind of sucks getting it in your brain, but once it gets so deep in your brain, it goes from what is referred to as type 2 thinking, having to physically, formulate a thought. Like if I said to you, what's 12 times by 64, you might be able to work it out, but it takes a little bit of mental cognition, to what's 2 plus 2. In the same way, if someone says, driver, can you take me to Oxford Street? The route just appears. I don't have to physically think about it. So there's no memory involved because of how deep it gets inside of your brain. I believe it comes down to how you remember something. In the same way that people say, oh, I forget names, I forget faces, but you never forget a nickname. If there was a nickname of a kid at school, you can probably still remember that nickname to this day, and it would just bring up a picture of their face. You don't forget that, do you? No, because it's quite trivial, it's quite comical as well. If you do this with all your memories, make them really visual, really appealing, then they will stick in the mind, and that is one of the best ways to remember anything. And you don't need to have any special mind capabilities, because no one's born with this. It's just about being optimal with your brain and how you associate different memories. If we look at this excuse applied to other areas of life, it's kind of like making a somewhat logical argument which doesn't actually really matter at all. It's a bit like saying, well, I would go to the gym, but I'm not really strong enough. Well, you go to the gym to get stronger. That's the idea. Oh, I'm not really good with my money, so I probably shouldn't save or invest my money. Well, no, you get a better financial education so you can do better things with your money. I'm not very good with business. Well, have you started a business? Kind of leads us on to our next point, which is your life isn't quite bad enough. It's really difficult if you've got an okay job. You don't really enjoy it, but you don't really dislike it either. It pays the bills. It's really difficult to kind of put that aside and start off on something new. It's the reason why we know of someone or a friend who, seemingly hit rock bottom. They've had a relative that's died. They've lost their job. But seemingly they rise like a phoenix from the flames and they come out stronger than ever before. Well, it's because things can't get much worse for them. The fear of sitting still overcomes the fear of taking action. I.e., if they sit still, they're going to be in a worse situation than if they take action. And that is what you need to do when applying to the knowledge or applying to any big thing you want to do in life. My personal example was that when I was on the knowledge, I was in the first job I ever held since the age of 15. I didn't mind it, but my motivating factor was that I could not afford a mortgage on the amount of money that I was earning. Therefore, I had to do something about my income. I knew that if I passed the knowledge, that was my dangling carrot, that I could earn enough money driving a cab to satisfy a decent mortgage criteria, a flat, a house, wherever. My notion of success has now changed slightly, but that was perfect to motivate me through. Your life doesn't have to be at rock bottom for you to realise, well, maybe I should give up alcohol. It's not causing me that much problems, but my life could be a lot better without it. So if you catastrophise, think about the worst case scenario of a situation you might be in. Even though you're not there or you're not anywhere near there, then that will inspire you to take action. What will happen if I stay in this position and not take action for the next 10 years? Now that is a frightening thought that I don't want to be a part of, which is why I'm always out to try and make change. You should do too, whether that's starting the knowledge, a gym workout, a good financial plan, anything. Just be fearful of what would happen if you don't make the change. It's not worth doing the knowledge because Uber are in town and they're taking over. Or if we looked at it in business sense, it's a bit like saying, I'm not going to start that dream coffee shop of mine because there's a Pret and a Starbucks that are all opening in the nearby area. Uber have been in London for over 10 years. And yes, when they came onto the scene, it did cause a bit of disruption. Because here's this shiny, new application that people download, they press a button, a car comes, no questions asked. And it was incredibly cheap. It was heavily subsidised, and even for investors, it was a unicorn. Lots of people made lots of money from Uber. The issue is, as a company, they've never turned a profit. But as we saw last year in 2022, because of the severe lack of drivers on the Uber platform, they were surge pricing more often than not. In fact, I made a video last year showing what the price differences were between a black cab and an Uber. And more often than not, they were about the same kind of price. A lot of the time, the Ubers were more expensive. The best example of this is in business and focusing on your unique selling points. As an example, when Richard Branson started Virgin Airlines, he was up against British Airways. He knew he couldn't compete on the price, so he focused on quality. And look around London, you've got someone like Gordon Ramsay who's opening so many new restaurants. His street burger and street pizzas are everywhere, and that they are far higher priced than, say, McDonald's. But he doesn't get upset that McDonald's are effectively undercutting him. He just focuses on what he knows best. And the same argument goes for black cabs. We've been in town for almost 400 years now. First licensed by Oliver Cromwell. It's mental to think. We've been here for a very long time. I think it's very safe to say that we're going to be here for a hell of a lot longer because the cream always rises to the top. Driverless cars are taking over. 8 years ago, that was a really delusional thought that nearly threw me off doing the knowledge entirely. And where are we 8 years later? Not very far. In fact, you could argue that the crashes that Tesla have experienced, the philosophical moral argument to driverless cars, I made a whole video about it over here. How can you apply this point to anything else in life? Well, it's kind of like focusing on like a non-existent threat. Maybe if I set up a shop in this particular part of town and everyone moves out of town, the likelihood of it happening is very, very slim. Maybe on a long enough timeline, it could happen, but you'll have enough time to kind of reappropriate, reassess your position and adjust in the future. Time will happen anyway. You'll have a lot of time to think about it, which leads us onto our next point. Starting the knowledge or doing any big endeavor will take too long. Anything worthy in life will take a period of time. It's just the way that it goes. But everyone will always tell themselves, oh, I haven't got 3 years to learn how to do the knowledge. I haven't got a year to start a brand new business. I haven't got 6 months to be able to get into really good shape. The time is going to pass anyway. The old quote is, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, second best time is now. The game is dead. I mean, especially with what the mayor is doing to London, clogging up the roads, making it 20 miles an hour, putting in cycle lanes, whatever. The best way of looking at it is that there's going to be setbacks and challenges to absolutely any business. When I used to work in retail, one of the guys who owned the shop said that in the 1970s, if you owned a shop, it was like having a license to print money. You put a product on the shelf and bosh, someone will come in and take it. And maybe in the heyday, driving a taxi might have been a bit like that. But everything changes, nothing lasts. Even online now, crypto, the YouTube creator space, everything might be like a bit of a gold rush right now, but you can guarantee it's not going to stay that way. You know, I've spoke with older cab drivers who were told by older cab drivers that the game was dead when they put roofs on double-decker buses. Some people said the game was dead when the Jubilee line came out. Some people said the game was dead when the Heathrow Express happened. You know, we had the Elizabeth line last year. That should have killed us off, but I was still getting jobs from Heathrow to Canary Wharf. Just Elizabeth line kind of jobs. London changes and adapts. Everything changes and adapts, you know? If you just sit still and do nothing, you are regressing. If you're regressing, that is a state of dying. But it's true, you never get to one point in life where you think, oh, I'm done, you know? All my worries go away. No, you achieve them, you overcome them, and you have to do more. And much is the same for London. So driving a taxi, there will always be challenges. Just don't let them hold you back or whatever you might want to be doing in your life. You know, even coming out today and filming this video, like most of the problems we have are generally inertia problems. So I just said to myself, look, I'm just going to film one of these points. I'm just going to film for 1 minute. And then before you know it, you're then on to the next one. You're then filming for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Instead of saying, I'm going to go run 5K, why not just say, I'm going to put my trainers on and go stand outside? You'll often find that just by doing that action and standing outside, you're kind of then ready just to get started. Same goes with, I don't know, I'm going to read a book tonight. Well, don't say I'm going to read a book. You say, I'm going to read a paragraph or even just one sentence. Once you're in it, the inertia started and you're away, you're laughing. You know, with the knowledge, rather than saying, right, oh, I've got to go to town, it's going to take me 4 hours in town, I'm going to go learn this many runs, this many points. No, just say I'm going to go out and go find 5 points. Once you're in town, you've started and you'll have the energy to keep on going. And that is a way better, much more productive system than just saying, oh, I could have done this or I should have gone out and done this. Do you want to know something else that's really difficult to stop once you start? That is joining the Heathrow Airport rank. You can find out more about that in this video over here. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.